our man here, the Boz. Geez, I love this bloke. He's on the line. G'day, Boz.
Good afternoon, Joel. Good afternoon, Justin. Gibbo, Mitch, how are you all?
Oh, we're
good, thanks, Boz.
But we shall get better after speaking with you. What do you got, Boz?
What have I got? I've got a European wrap-up, the quarterfinals, first legs, and we'll start with the most recent ones, the second and third tier competitions this morning. Manchester United 2-2 with Lyon away, so still evenly poised for when they go to Old Trafford next week. And Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur 1-1 with Eintracht Frankfurt. They went behind 1-0 early on. They came back and got an equaliser not too long afterwards, and really threw everything at Eintracht Frankfurt in the second half. And it wasn't for some bad luck and some really good goalkeeping by Frankfurt's goalkeeper, Kaio. They would have won that game, but it's still very evenly poised. Chelsea 3-0 winners in the Conference League. That's the third tier away from home to Legia Warsaw. So they should be through. And in the Champions League, we had a performance and a half. And you'll love this, Joel. I know you love statistics, right?
Yep.
So Arsenal, massive underdogs against Real Madrid, the holders. They put in one of the best performances I've ever seen Arsenal in all the time I've been watching them. I'm sure Arsenal supporters listening would verify that, especially in Europe. Now, Declan Rice, their England international who plays in midfield, listen to this, right? He's played 338 professional games. Free kicks, how many do you think he scored before this 339th game? How many do you think he scored in his whole career?
Oh, Scopey, what do you think?
Oh, Declan Rice. So Declan used to play for Aston Villa, didn't he? Is that correct?
No, West Ham.
West Ham, so sorry.
West Ham, West Ham. No, similar colours, that's right.
Yeah.
So how many, before his 339th professional game, okay,
so
like against Real Madrid the other night,
because he's nailed a couple.
338, the way I'm asking you should tell you a story in itself.
Yeah.
In 338 games beforehand, he'd scored 0 free kicks. Like, it's, scored from, right?
Wow.
Yep.
Now, can you imagine him against Real Madrid, right? It's 0-0 and he's with a teammate. So one of you two is his teammate, right? Who are good at free kicks. Imagine him saying, let me take it. What would you say to him? You go, mate, listen. All right, anyway, guess what? He scores 2 of the best free kicks. 2. Right? One after the other that you'll ever see in your life. To get Arsenal on their way, they scored a third goal, 3-0, so looking real favourites to go through now to the semi-final. My beloved Aston Villa were just outplayed by Paris. Paris were absolutely superb. They're hotting up with every time I watch them. They lost 3-1 in Paris. Bayern Munich lost at home 2-1 to Inter Milan, so great result for Inter Milan. And Barcelona, now listen to this other stat as well. I know you love your stats, right? Barcelona, I actually fell off my chair. I didn't actually realise this. Before this game, this season had scored 141 goals from 47 games in all competitions.
Wow.
They won again 4-0 against Borussia Dortmund, so they're looking favourites to go through. So a wonderful 3 mornings and another 3 mornings coming up next week as well. And everything is pretty much evenly poised for Tottenham, like I said, and Manchester United. Rangers as well deserve a shout. They played against, they drew 0-0 at home against Atletico Bilbao, but it's going to be a tough ask for them. In the final of that Europa League, the one that Manchester United and Tottenham's in, that's actually at Atletico Bilbao's home ground, so that's always an extra incentive. And Chelsea look as though they're through. So another wonderful week on Stan Sport, and starting again next week, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday.
Well, can I just quickly circle back on that Declan Rice?
Circle back a lot.
Yeah, I want to go back to the tactics on that, mate, because you mentioned the Declan Rice. Who makes that huge call? Because I've watched football over the years, and normally there's a rotation and there's a preferred kicker, right? Like, who's made 100%. The manager?
100% scope. So that's what I was thinking. I mean, that's why I said to Joel, I know you like this. So can you imagine, Joel, if it was like a massive kick to convert for you, and somebody who hasn't converted it,
taps you on the shoulder,
hasn't converted a goal, right? Like, a converted goal. In his whole career, comes up to you and goes, listen, man, I think I better take this one. What would you say to him?
Oh, yeah.
In a Champions League semi
Champions League, it's 0-0, right? And you're playing against Real Madrid you're not just playing against anyone. Yeah. So normal, and the funny thing is, and it hasn't been confirmed yet, but Arsenal, like a lot of teams now, they actually employ a set play coach. So, for corners, for free kicks and all that. And there's a picture of him actually, with his right hand actually telling Declan. It looked as though he was telling him, just put it in the box, So anyway, like I said to you, like there was another player over the ball. I don't know if it was Bukayo Saka or somebody. You can imagine, you've got to have fair play to him. What courage and sort of, you could say, confidence to say to him after 338 games, listen, leave it to me. I'm taking it. And I'm telling you, if you just watch it, when you got a chance in the break on YouTube or whatever, the first one especially, he started at about nearly 1.5 meters, 2 meters outside the post, and it curled right, unbelievable. And the second one even better.
Hey, Bozza, can I ask you this? Because I'm.
Yeah.
This is a life maker, life breaker. The penalty shootout. To me, it's so cruel. These big events ultimately end up on the shoulders of somebody who doesn't do that day in, day out. Is it wrong? Like seriously, where do you stand here?
Look, we tried. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. We've tried everything in our game. So we went through a stage where when you could say, like, you know, the American club competition, like it's called the MLS now. When that started, they tried to have what was called, somebody will know what it's called, but basically you had 7 seconds from the halfway line to dribble around the goalkeeper. I don't know what it was called, but that's what they tried. In terms of FIFA and official, like, you know, in terms of the rest of the game, they tried golden goal. So that was in extra time. Whoever scored, that was it. Yeah. And then they did away with that and they just went back to the penalty shootout. So the theory behind it is, look, if you can't separate after 90 minutes or if it's 180 over 2 legs, the next thing you're going to see who's the fittest. We're going to go to extra time. And then the last thing we're going to do when you're really tired is come down to the mental side. From a goalkeeper's perspective, which is my perspective, it's an opportunity to be a hero. But I tell you what, I've seen some players like really break, like, you know, I mean, like really from a mental perspective, not be the same after they've missed a massive penalty. I mean, it's that wonderful story of Stuart Pearce, the English left back, who in 1990 missed a penalty against Germany, which contributed to England being knocked out of the semi-finals of the World Cup. Anyway, 6 years later at Wembley, he's in the Euros against Spain and he scores and you just see the relief on his face and all that. But unfortunately for a lot of players, they don't get that opportunity to put things right because it is a high-pressure situation. They've made it a little bit different now too with the goalkeepers. You have to have 1 foot behind the line, which I think is good because sometimes you see goalkeepers literally come 2 or 3 meters off their line. But it's still, you're right, it's a tough way for it to decide. But because of tournaments and time, you know, really we've found after experimenting with everything, it's the only way to decide. What would they do in a rugby league game, by the way? Say it was a grand final and it went, say, I don't know, say it was 10-10 and then after extra time it was still, say, 12-all. Would they do kicks at goal? How would they decide that?
I've actually, Bozza, I can answer that. I played in a game. This was an NRL game, Bozza, but it's the same rules that it's applied to NRL. I played in the grand final day in a New South Wales Cup, so that's a reserve grade competition. And we played until we scored a point. So we went into triple overtime.
I called that game.
You might have, yeah. 2006 or 7 or whatever.
Phil in that game?
Yeah, it's the second longest game in rugby league history.
There was 15 shots at field goal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. We had to just keep going.
I always remember the Rugby Union World Cup final in 2003. I don't know if you guys remember that. And when Johnny Wilkinson ended up hitting a field goal. But if he didn't hit that field goal, somebody was saying to me that there would have been kicks at goal from both teams until one missed one and the other one scored one.
Oh, yeah. I never knew that.
Hey, we've got a heap of texts here,
so that'll be interesting. Like, I don't know if I remember back in the day, I think it was, 1977, I think, St. George Parramatta, and then there was, I think, 78 as well, Manly versus Cronulla Sharks. They both drew on the Saturday and they had to replay during the week. So I don't know what would happen now in the NRL if there was a draw on grand final day.
Good call, Bozza. Lots of texts coming through. Similar to this from Craig from Mortdale. He says, Bozza, I'm off to the races tomorrow on an anchor to multi-up something from the soccer. What do you got?
What I've got for this weekend, I am going to go for a Liverpool win against West Ham because after their little bit of a wobble last week, I think they'll be primed at home to win.
Yep.
I'm also going to go for a Brighton win against Leicester because Leicester are really gone down and recently they're looking at, and also the Southampton to get beaten by Aston Villa. Southampton are already down after 6 games to spare. So there's my 3. How's that for you?
That's outstanding. Your team in Darwin this week taking on the Raiders. Bozza, how do you see that?
Yes. I think that they'll win. They'll carry that momentum from last week, and I think they'll win. Yeah, I think they'll win up there. Yeah, and there's as we all know, the 3 of us know, when you get that little bit of momentum, a bit of confidence, that can make a huge difference when there's very little between 2 sides.
I love that. Good on you, Bozza. Great to chat.
Take care, guys. I'll be listening.
Hooroo, Hoodoo Guru. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.